Welcome back to the Dinar Daily. We are focusing today on a significant series of developments emerging from Iraq, centered on the nation's currency and monetary policy. Reports are surfacing that smaller denominations of the Iraqi dinar are beginning to appear in circulation across the country. This development is noteworthy because for many years, the Iraqi economy has operated predominantly on large denomination banknotes. The appearance of these smaller bills represents a tangible shift in the country's currency landscape. This is not just a minor adjustment but a core component of a broader, structured monetary reform that has been planned by the Central Bank of Iraq. The implications of this move are being closely watched as it affects the practical, day-to-day mechanics of the Iraqi economy and signals a new phase in its financial planning. The specifics of these reports indicate that new notes in denominations such as 1, 5, 10, 20, 50, and even 100 dinars are being introduced. These smaller bills are reportedly being seen at local banks and dispensed from automated teller machines or ATMs. This marks a significant operational change from the status quo, where the primary bills in use have been the 5,000, 10,000, and 25,000 dinar notes. The introduction of currency in smaller, more practical sizes is a fundamental step in altering how daily transactions are conducted. This process appears to be a deliberate move to diversify the currency available to the public, moving beyond the large notes that have long been the standard for commerce and savings in the nation. In parallel with the introduction of these new, smaller bills, a concurrent process is reportedly underway involving the larger denominations. The Central Bank of Iraq is said to be actively removing some of the older high-denomination notes from circulation. This is not being described as a sudden or chaotic invalidation, but rather as a carefully managed and gradual phase-out. This dual action, introducing the small and withdrawing the large, is the central mechanism of the currency transition currently being observed. It is part of a coordinated strategy to reshape the composition of the physical currency circulating within the Iraqi economy, aligning it with a new, modernized monetary framework that has been the subject of discussion for a significant period. The mechanism for this transition inside Iraq involves the public's participation. Iraqi citizens are reportedly being encouraged to bring their older, larger denomination notes to local banking institutions. At these banks, they can exchange the large bills for the newly issued smaller denominations. This process is being presented as a straightforward swap, designed to replace the existing currency stock with a new set of notes better suited for everyday commerce. This exchange program is essential for seeding the economy with the new bills and systematically retrieving the old ones. It is a foundational element of the logistical plan to ensure the new currency framework is adopted smoothly by the general populace and the financial system. The primary rationale provided for this comprehensive reform is practicality. The long-standing reliance on very large notes, such as the 25,000 dinar bill, can become extremely cumbersome for simple, everyday purchases. If a currency's purchasing power is adjusted, using such large notes for minor transactions like buying groceries or paying for transportation would be highly impractical. The introduction of smaller bills is a necessary prerequisite for a currency that is functional for all levels of commerce. Historically, the issuance of smaller denominations and coins is a step taken when a nation prepares its currency for greater usability and stability in daily life, suggesting a focus on enhancing the currency's domestic functionality. This transition is being carefully framed as part of a long-term monetary reform strategy, rather than an emergency measure. The objective is to increase the purchasing power and overall functionality of the Iraqi dinar within its own borders. By managing this as a gradual process, the monetary authorities aim to avoid disruptions to the daily economy. Citizens are reportedly being given specific time windows and clear instructions on how to participate in the exchange, ensuring that the transition from large notes to small notes is orderly. This methodical approach is intended to build public confidence and ensure that the new currency structure is integrated effectively without causing panic or confusion among the population. For those holding the larger denominations, specifically the 5,000, 10,000, and 25,000 dinar notes. The reports indicate these bills are not being cancelled or rendered worthless. The process is being described strictly as a gradual phasing out from daily circulation inside Iraq. This means that while they will become less common in local shops and markets over time, they are not being summarily invalidated. This distinction is a critical part of the information being disseminated, emphasizing that the change is about the form of the currency used for transactions, not an abrupt deletion of its recognized status during this transitional period. A key distinction is being made regarding notes held internationally. The exchange program where citizens bring large notes to local banks is described as a domestic initiative for the Iraqi population. Reports suggest that this local phase-out process does not apply to individuals or entities holding these larger notes outside of Iraq. The separation is significant, as it implies two different contexts for the currency: its practical, transactional use inside Iraq, and its status as a holding outside Iraq. The domestic swap is aimed at solving a local usability problem, rather than addressing the status of notes held abroad. According to the information available, the value of these larger notes held by international holders is not affected by the internal Iraqi exchange program. The value proposition for these notes is tied to the currency's standing on the international stage and its exchange rate, which is distinct from the domestic utility of the banknotes. The phasing out of large notes locally is to make the currency manageable for daily life within Iraq. Therefore, the larger notes held internationally are said to retain their potential, as their status is linked to broader reforms, such as a potential redenomination or revaluation of the currency on global markets, rather than the local logistical swap. This entire initiative is also being supported by tangible preparations within Iraq's financial infrastructure. This is not simply a matter of printing new bills. It requires a system-wide update. Reports indicate that ATMs across the country are being actively recalibrated. This reprogramming is necessary so that the machines can recognize, hold, and dispense the new, smaller denominations. This is a crucial logistical step to ensure that the public has widespread access to the new currency. The updating of the nation's ATM network is a clear, physical sign that the implementation of the new currency framework is moving from the planning stage to practical execution. Beyond the banks and ATMs, the transition is also reportedly extending into the commercial sector. Merchants and local business owners are being educated and trained on how to handle the new denominations. This includes learning how to price goods and services in the smaller increments and manage transactions using the new bills and coins. This adjustment is vital for the reform to succeed, as daily commerce is where the currency's functionality is truly tested. The government is also said to be playing a direct role in circulating the new notes by beginning to pay some public sector salaries using the smaller denominations, which helps to naturally introduce them into the economy. The preparations are not just occurring domestically. The reports also describe activity on the international financial scene. It is claimed that major global banking institutions, including some large U.S.-based financial entities, are in the process of updating their internal currency systems. These updates are technical in nature, involving the recalibration of software and databases to accommodate new values or codes related to the Iraqi dinar, often referred to as the IQD. This preparation is essential for these banks to be able to process transactions and exchanges smoothly if and when the dinar's international standing is altered. This alleged readiness effort by international banks is presented as a sign of coordination. Such system-wide updates are not trivial. They require time and resources, indicating that these institutions are preparing for a new operational reality regarding Iraq's currency. This synchronization between local reforms inside Iraq and technical preparations by global financial partners is highlighted as evidence that the transition is being carefully managed. The goal of such preparation would be to ensure stability and immediate accessibility for international exchanges once any new currency framework is officially implemented, preventing technical glitches or delays in the global financial system. Furthermore, the Central Bank of Iraq has officially confirmed its commitment to a modern currency framework. This strategy involves several key pillars, including the issuance of new, lower denomination notes and a concerted effort to reduce the Iraqi economy's dependence on the US dollar for local trade. For years, the dollar has been used pervasively in domestic transactions, and the CBI has stated its goal is to strengthen the dinar as the primary currency for local commerce. This move, combined with the new notes, is part of a larger push for greater monetary sovereignty and stability. To support this modernized framework, the currency reforms are reportedly backed by tangible assets. The new notes and the currency's strengthened position are said to be founded upon Iraq's significant economic resources, including its vast oil revenues and substantial foreign currency reserves. When a currency is backed by such solid assets, it provides a stronger foundation for its value. This backing is a critical component of the reform, as it aims to create a stable and reliable currency that can gain real purchasing power both domestically and in international markets, moving beyond its previous status. The gradual nature of this entire process is consistently emphasized. The phase-out of the large notes is not an overnight event. By giving the public clear time windows to exchange their old notes at banks, the authorities are working to prevent any disruption to daily life or commerce. This slow and steady implementation allows the central bank to manage the currency supply effectively. It also provides a crucial window for public education campaigns, ensuring that citizens understand how to use the new denominations and feel confident in the transition, thereby preventing confusion or panic. This public education component is a vital part of the rollout. Reports indicate that government offices, banks, and merchants are all receiving instructions on how to handle the new currency. As salaries and other transactions are increasingly adjusted to align with the smaller notes, the public gradually becomes accustomed to the new system. This methodical acclimatization helps ensure a smooth transition. It also reinforces the distinction for international observers. While the Iraqi public adapts to these new practical notes, the status of the larger notes held abroad remains separate, tied to the broader financial reform rather than the local logistical adjustment. Another significant development reported alongside these currency changes is a shift in Iraq's international trade practices. It is claimed that oil sales and other major international contracts are increasingly being conducted in the Iraqi dinar itself, rather than relying exclusively on the US dollar. This is a major policy shift. By beginning to use its own currency for its primary export, Iraq is actively working to strengthen the dinar's role on the global stage and reduce its long-standing dependence on foreign currency for its most critical economic activities. This action directly supports the goal of creating a stronger, more internationally recognized currency. When all these reported actions are viewed together, a comprehensive picture emerges. The combination of internal reforms, such as issuing small notes and collecting large ones with practical implementation, like updating ATMs and training merchants, is significant. When coupled with external preparations, such as international banks updating their systems and Iraq itself using the dinar for oil sales, the signals point toward a deliberate and system-wide readiness effort. This alignment suggests that Iraq is methodically preparing for a more modern and functional currency structure, both for its local population and for its position in the global economy. For those who have been observing the Iraqi dinar situation for many years, these events are particularly noteworthy. For a long time, discussions about currency reform were largely speculative. However, the current reports describe tangible, observable actions. The physical appearance of new, smaller notes and the systematic collection of the larger ones represent a clear shift from discussion to implementation. This indicates that Iraq is actively moving forward with its monetary framework, putting the foundational pieces in place for a new phase of its financial system. It remains important to differentiate between the two parallel processes occurring. Inside Iraq, the focus is on practicality. The transition to smaller notes and coins is essential for a functioning domestic economy, allowing citizens to conduct daily business smoothly. This local adjustment is a matter of logistical necessity. For international holders, the context is different. Their larger notes are not part of this domestic exchange. The developments relevant to them are the broader structural changes to the currency's international valuation and recognition, which this domestic reform is a prerequisite for. The core of the news is this: the Central Bank of Iraq is actively implementing its currency reform plan. This plan involves replacing the large denomination notes that have dominated the economy with smaller, more practical bills and coins. This is not a simple reissue but a strategic move designed to increase the currency's everyday usability. This local transition is a necessary step before any wider changes to the dinar's value structure could be effectively managed. The meticulous planning, from ATM updates to public education, underscores the seriousness of this transition. This phase is also being supported by the aforementioned updates to global banking systems. The reports of international financial institutions recalibrating their databases to recognize new parameters for the Iraqi dinar are a crucial piece of the puzzle. This behind-the-scenes work is essential for ensuring that if or when the currency's status changes on the world stage, the global financial infrastructure is ready to handle transactions smoothly. This coordination between local Iraqi changes and preparations by global partners suggests a high degree of planning for a non-disruptive transition. Therefore, the gradual phasing out of the large notes within Iraq, combined with the simultaneous introduction of smaller bills, highlights that the country is actively moving toward a more functional and modern currency system. Every step being reported, from training merchants in Baghdad to software updates in New York, demonstrates a deliberate strategy. The alignment of this local and international readiness is a strong indicator that the groundwork for a new monetary era in Iraq is being firmly established, pointing toward a seamless transition when the reforms are fully executed. In summary, the key takeaway from these reports is that Iraq is entering a new and decisive era of currency management. The appearance of smaller dinar notes is a physical manifestation of this change. As larger notes are systematically phased out of local circulation, and as financial systems both inside and outside the country are aligned to handle a new framework, all signs point to a significant financial step forward. This is a historic moment in the nation's monetary story, as the country works to lay the foundation for a stronger, more practical currency that is both locally functional and internationally recognized.